What's up, Meta Nerds? In this video we're going to break down one of the strangest units to fight in the Clone Wars, the BL series Battle Legionnaire. It was a 4th degree droid designed not for serving senators on Coruscant, but fighting through the most deadly battlefields of the galaxy. Standing 1.7 meters or 5 feet 7 inches, they were shorter than most battle droids, and though the Battle Legionnaire resembled the 3PO series protocol droids created by Cybot Galactica, these combat droids were manufactured by Bactoid, the creator of most of the droids used by the CIS. That being said, it was not destined to take orders from T-Series or Confederate commanders, but from the Mandalorians. These people had a history older than the Republic, and though they could be seen fighting in wars of every era, they had always been critical of droids to the point of seeing them as almost sacrilegious. The only real exception to this was the Basilisk war droid, which was itself more of a cyborg, deemed a techno-organic creature that acted as war mounts in the legends of old. This BL series would come to serve the Mandalorian Protectors, a faction that arose midway through the Clone Wars, when a defective clone of Jango named Alpha 2 sought out recruits for the Shock Troopers, which would come to serve as Separatist allies, pulling these warriors from the ranks of the Mandalorian Police and Death Watch. Their numbers would only ever rise to include 112 members, who remembered the Mandalorian giants of the new Sith Wars. Their Mando ancestors had used these beasts as frontline troops, and though his idea was not to use flesh and blood beings, it was the same concept of using a non-Mando front-fighting troop, which could be easily replaced and used as cannon fodder. Fenshisa had a run-in with the notorious protocol droid C-3PX, and after seeing its incredibly deadly proficiency, these two ideas gave birth to the blueprints for a standardized warbot based on 3PX. Bactoid agreed to produce the first line, which would only include 1,000 of these BLs. The base metal would be of an alloy with a blue and green hue, with some gold color material on the trim, but they would later be painted in olive drab camo to match the Mandalorian Protector's battle armor. And they proved it really was what's on the inside that counts. Their outer facade was the only thing they shared with the protocol droids. Military-grade balance gyros and joints were calibrated for maximum torque, giving it the ability to lift thousands of kilos over its head. And it could sprint at a top speed of 30 kilometers per hour or 18 miles per hour, sustaining this speed for an entire day before needing a recharge. Their droid brains were more similar to a commando droid, combining this physical prowess with tactics and targeting software that would interpret the best decision from info obtained through its yellow photoreceptor eyes. It contained signal jammers and even an incredibly useful first aid kit that could pop out of their bodies. I'm thinking it popped out of their back. And it shows a rare example of droid and organic synergy, as the Mandos did not see themselves as disposable units like the cloners did. They helped to use every piece of tech available to keep the Protectors alive and effective in the fight, and while they could yield just about any blaster weapon, explosive, or vibroblade, as well as manipulate mounted weaponry and vehicle controls, their main means of slaughter came from an attachment. The AAP Blaster Box, aka the Laser Cannon Harness, was designed as a, quote, strap-on laser system, designed by the Berletto Company, and used famously on the ZX-3 experimental droid trooper in the Imperial Army. This blaster box gave them a much heavier punch, more on par with an E-Web than a rifle, which really pushed its balance-retaining gyro system. But they would also be entrusted with an ancient vehicle, confusingly called the Mandalorian Battle Harness. These look more like construction equipment, but they were titanic, destructive antiques that allowed the droid to roll across any terrain on twin tank treads, and unload its heavy blaster cannon, something usually only seen on larger walkers or starships, but their most unique option came from the gigantic claw arm, and their sonic pulverizing trip hammer, using sound like a water cutting device. And so with these three options, they could force their way through almost any defense out there, creating an opening for their droid brothers and their Mando lords. Due to their effectiveness, the Mandalorian Protectors and their Battle Legionnaire droids became highly sought after units by the Separatists. They earned a reputation for eliminating targets in a single day, when the Confederacy's droid army determined it would take a month to do so. And they came to be respected by the Mandos at a level not seen since the Basilisk war droids, and perhaps the first time in Mandalorian history that this camaraderie was ever extended to a purely digital life form. The BL series droids participated in the Mandalorian Protector's strike against Kamino and its Republic cloning facilities, part of a series of blitzkrieg assaults in retaliation for the death of a prominent Confederacy leader. Before the assault on New Bornalex, the Protectors toasted their Battle Legionnaire droids. Quote, to our BLs, that they may leave enough enemies for the rest of us. Raise your cup to victory. Kote. With Kote being the Mandoa word for glory. Although the battle was a victory for the Protectors, their army of BL series droids suffered significant casualties. On Norval 2, during an attempt to capture Republic Senator Padme Amidala, the Mandalorian protectors were led into a trap and ambushed by the Republic's clone army. The vast majority of protectors were killed, with only 3 of the 212 flesh and blood Mandos dying, and nearly all of their BL droid brothers were destroyed too. One of the few surviving Legionnaire droids, BL-17, was acquired by Boba Fett and served as his aide during the early years of the Galactic Empire's reign, where it really shows off how intelligent these units were, after a long con to full C-3PO.
It turns out that BL-17 and I graduated from the same production facility.
And later it shows that despite their shared looks, it didn't have the manners programming of a protocol droid.
Really don't think...
Put a clamp on it, Chrome Dome! I've been waiting for this moment.
BL-17 did meet its end on the planet Bunta in 15 BBY, after sparking some rage in C-3PO and Droid Proto-1. Though we must end on the most terrifying note that after the Battle of Endor, rumors circulated about a belligerent 88 series assassin droid possessing the head of a BL series. Not just a monstrosity to look at, but it would surely be one of the most proficient droid killers in any system out there. So that's it for its breakdown, and as for behind the scenes facts, it was first introduced in the Star Wars Insider article The History of the Mandalorians, published in the 18th issue in March 2005. This article retconned the Star Wars droids character BL-17 as a member of the Battle Legionnaire line and detailed much of the history of the droids, including their connection to the Mandalorians. And this gets further expanded upon in the new Essential Guide to Droids, with other details coming from Galaxy at War sourcebook and the complete encyclopedia. If you made it this far, please hit that like button, it really is the best way to help me out. Subscribe to see more and check out these videos, I'm sure you'll like them. But most important of all, remember, never judge a droid by its shiny cover. It may be an expert at deadly strap-ons, and the Force will be with you, always.